Tales from the Tapes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tales from the Tapes. I'm your host, Mike Cleopatra, here with my partners, Anthony and Cody.
Hello.
And we are extremely honored and excited tonight to bring you all our first ever interview for this podcast and only our second ever interview for the Gruesome Gazette itself. There are very few creative teams that excite us as much as the team we've brought on with us tonight. They are a creative family who have been celebrating an ever-growing and successful string of films that are ethereally dark and hypnotically beautiful in their own ways. They are a directing, writing, acting, technically productive, and overall harmonious team that bring us sincerely original and awe-stricken horror films that almost transcend the genre. From their melancholic breakout film, The Deeper You Dig, to their crowd-pleasing coming-of-age witch hit Hellbender, which debuted on Shudder just last year, their ambition and genuine love for their craft is infectious to witness and exciting to soak in. You never quite know what you're going to get, but you always know it's going to be one hell of a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, here to talk with us tonight about their brand new release, Where the Devil Roams, we present John Adams and Toby Poser.
Man, I gotta bake you guys a cake.
Yeah, that was the best intro ever.
I'm not gonna lie, I took a lot of liberty from the Boo crew when they interviewed you guys a little bit ago.
Well, that was wonderful.
That
Thanks.
feels very honored. And also, one of your first interviews. Thank you.
No, of course. It's we as soon as we heard that you guys had this film that was starting to do like the festival circuit, we knew that we just had to do something for it. I reached out to Yellowville when I heard they picked it up and tried to get a screener. They never got back to me. So as soon as it started becoming like out in the public and all that, we were just like, all right, let's set this up.
Yes.
Well, awesome, and we'll have to talk to Yellowville about that. Next one, you'll get it hot off creation.
Oh, that would be so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Before we begin, I do have one random question. Who of you runs the Instagram page?
I do it the most. Why does it suck?
No, because I've been talking to one of you guys like off and on for the last few years, and I had no idea who I was talking to.
You're talking to me. Yeah, you're
Okay.
talking. And then when it gets to business, like when it moves to like, okay, something important, then I always push it over to Toby, and Toby takes care of business.
And I'm old school. I'm like, just can you email me?
Yeah, right.
Gotcha. Okay, so you guys even do that as a team. Okay. Yeah, because I've been talking to one of you guys a little bit about like camera equipment and things like that when I was trying to get started with things like that. So I was just curious which of you I really needed to thank the most and just trying to put a face behind the personality I was talking to.
Oh, well, that's cool. Well, great. Yeah, I love talking to people, and I've loved talking to you. And that's kind of one of the things we just love about making horror movies is we are in a really cool community. And there's a lot of sharing of ideas, and there's a lot of sharing of emotional support and artistic support, and so thanks for mentioning it, because it goes both ways.
Oh, absolutely. You guys are such a warm addition to this whole just genre family that exists. It's like there's a lot of creators that seem like they're a little too serious, and then there's some who are not serious at all. And it's like you guys are just that super happy medium where anything I see you involved in, you're just so wholesome and you're just so you. And just, I don't know, I really appreciate everything. Like I heard you guys on the movie trip just a couple weeks ago, and I was so happy for you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they were great.
Wait, I didn't hear which
The movie trip.
Oh, movie trip. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, no, they treated you guys really well.
They did. They've been super. There's so many people. You know what? Like again, it is a great community. It's just a lot of fun, and it's a great place to do art.
Yep, and we really do love talking to people. I mean, we love it at festivals. We love it on podcasts.
And we're learning a ton. I mean, we think of ourselves as like new at it. And that's what's fun. You wake up and you learn from people. It's really nice.
That's the beautiful alchemy of life. It's just every day you learn something new, you meet new people, and then the next thing you know, you don't know where the hell you are a week later, but there you are.
Wherever you go, there you are. Yeah.
You're busy learning the next shit.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into some questions for you guys. We did kind of break them up into like themes to kind of make it just a little, everything kind of more cohesive. So we'll just begin with a little bit on you guys' background and just some personal things from you. So we'll just start things off by just simply asking, like, what films or television shows inspired you to begin making your own?
Ah, good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I have to say that one film that really inspired me to be like, I want to make a movie now was, and this is going to, I sound like a dumbass, but I don't even know the name of it, but Toby will know the name of it. It was the story of like two guys where nothing happens, called like Boy or Old Man or Boy, Old Boy, or it was made by a woman director.
Old Glory.
Old Glory.
Reichardt. Yeah, Kelly Reichardt.
And I watched this movie, and when it was over, I was like, I don't know what the hell just happened. Like, I don't know what just happened, but it was like meditation. And I just found that really interesting. Like, it just threw me off. I didn't know whether I liked it. I didn't know whether I didn't like it. I didn't know whether it was genius or not genius. And so that's what was so fun about it. It spun me around, and that inspired me. I was like, I would like to make movies. That looks fun. And isn't it odd that it was a movie like that? I still don't exactly know what I think of it.
That's one where it's just like two men walking through the woods the whole movie, right?
It really is, and nothing happens. and it's yeah, and yeah. So I still don't know what the hell it was about. But you asked me that question, and I have to say that that's a movie that I said to myself after watching it, I want to make movies.
You know what came to mind for me, which is so funny because it's not something I think people would connect with our films, but The Bad News Bears is a movie that I always like to watch. And the amount of fun that it looked like they were having in these kids. And when we started making films, our kids were really young. Like Zelda was 6 and Lulu was 11 when we made our first film. But in a strange way, I think that film influenced me because, you know, they're out there making, these kids are the star of the film, besides Walter Matthau. But so I always think about The Bad News Bears. It's one of my favorite films ever.
And it was such a dirty ass movie.
Exactly. I knew if we were going to make a movie, and we did, you know, our kids were going to be cussing like sailors. And so that was an influence.
Walter Matthau drinking and throwing pitches. I mean, what could be better?
Yeah.
But I got to add one more thing, which is horror. What inspired me to want to do horror was a movie written by Nick Cave called The Proposition. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I want to make horror. It's not a horror movie. It's like a Western movie that takes place in Australia. But the violence and the brutality and the solitude of it then I was like, I want to make a movie that's as brutal and cold and lonely as this.
So it sounds like, just based off these three, we found out where like the idea of your guys' atmosphere comes from, where the whole like it's horror, but it's not like your typical horror, and then like where you have the whole like the family, like everybody's in on the joke kind of element. Like those three definitely make sense when you look at your guys' line of work.
Oh, that's cool. All right. That was like, that's cool.
I love that.
And to jump off of that, so which director was your biggest inspiration when you were getting into filmmaking?
Oh, you know what? I love John Cassavetes' films. I liked him as an actor as well. Obviously, Rosemary's Baby. I thought he was kind of foxy and cool. But when I was like younger and first seen it, but the reason why his films really influenced me is because, again, there's that family element. You know, if you look at some of his films, he's got his friends, he's got his family. Sometimes you could even see like a boom mic in the shot, and it kind of didn't matter because it's like the energy and pulse of what he was shooting was kind of unlike anything else. So he's still a big one for me in terms of how it's very collaborative, and it seems like his community, you know, there's this ambient kind of energy of those around him who he seems like he just wants to work with.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a director in a particular movie because, like, I think like I just just to say a director, because they do so much work that there's some things that a director does that I don't necessarily like or
Right.
But I would say that and still today every The Thing, John Carpenter, because it's directed flawlessly.
Yes.
And he captures paranoia. It's funny, it's super real, and it's super brutal. And
Oh yes.
and he's asked his actors to take it seriously but play it close. And so I would say that movie, that director, huge influence, always will be.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. That is definitely like on the list of perfect movies. That is definitely up there.
100%.
Great choices. All right, so then before we get into the actual film itself, then my last real like home style question for you is just what are your comfort favorites? Like I know you mentioned Bad News Bears being one of them, but just like the ones you will put on any given day to treat yourself or pick you up if you're having a bad time. What are some of those?
Well, I should probably, since what I've talked about so far it isn't really like in the horror genre. I'll just go right to horror. I love watching Let the Right One In.
Oh, beautiful.
I mean, it's funny that should be a comfort choice because it's so fucking cold, you know? It's such a movie, but I love that film.
I'm gonna go with The Omen, and I'm gonna go with The French Connection. And I,
You can't do
you know,
two.
I'm gonna do three. I'm actually fuck that. I'm doing three.
Okay.
I'll go with The Omen, The French Connection, and The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original. Those are my comforts.
Okay, my other two then are The Witch
Ooh.
and Basket Case. Basket Case
Oh
is
yes. Basket case.
because it's so seedy and fucking like wonderful.
Yeah.
You watch it and you feel like you got to take a shower, and I love that.
That is fantastic. I'm just like trying to picture all 6 of those playing at once. And just, I don't know, it's a cool glimpse inside your brains. I like that.
They're a bunch of them. Yeah, they're fun. Those are all super fun. And Basket Case, it's funny because Basket Case, I would say, is very much like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, and even The French Connection, because they all celebrate New York City. And they all like I grew up as a kid in the city and right outside of the city. And so when I watch those movies, I can feel it. I can smell the hot pretzels. I can smell the cigarettes. And when you watch like Basket Case, you can smell 42nd Street. It's like, those are things that really make you feel nostalgic for like super old New York. It's pretty cool. And it's all dirty. They're all dirty and nasty.
Oh yeah, totally grimy. Well, what are your comfort movies?
So like if I'm like just trying to chill, like Creepshow is always my go-to. I always love Critters, and then I always like Little Giants, or like yeah, I'm always like a Jackass or like Team America fan. So it really depends on the vibe I'm going for. But if I'm really trying to like feel something, like if I'm having one of those weird kind of weeks, then I'll watch something like 1981's Possession by Andrzej Zulawski, or I'll watch like Angst. So I usually go for like the darker stuff because I don't know, like sometimes you just really need to feel something, and it's nice to like force yourself to. So I know they're not really comfort movies, but depending on what I need, sometimes that is what I actually kind of need.
I hear you. Yeah.
I'm with you. My comfort movies aren't the shallow ones. I don't think of mine, the ones I picked as shallow. Maybe they are.
It's just nice to feel like those complicated emotions and those complicated thoughts, like the ones where like you almost need to explain to someone if like they, if they even like try to ask you like what you're thinking about it. But I don't know. It's like I could watch something very simple and like, like Space Jam, like just to like get me through, where like I don't need to think about things. It's just happening. But like that's not like my go-to. It's like that's cool. But like I don't know. There's just something about the ones that like are engaging on both like an intellectual level and like a mental and spiritual level that just, I don't know, it does something to you. Like Lars von Trier is not a comfort director in any way, shape, or form, but there's something about Antichrist where after I watch it, like, I don't know, I feel better.
You feel good about yourself. I feel great about myself.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, I'm doing okay. I'm like, things are gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Anthony, what about you?
So for me, like my comfort movies, top one would have to be the Gremlin films, both 1 and 2, because they're just so fun and kinetic, and actually has like personal meaning to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also I really loved like the cosmic horror films, like In the Mouth of Madness, Color Out of Space. There's ones that delve into different religious archetypes and just really puts you into like a whole other world.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Did you like Pi?
The Aronofsky movie?
Yeah.
I have not seen Pi yet.
Dude, I loved Pi. I saw that when I was like 12. Fucked my world up.
Yeah, because that's a fuck your world up kind of movie. So and it's religious kind of oddness that covers that base.
Because it's just like, it's all about like mathematics and like numerology and combining it with just like this extreme like religion like aspect, and just, I don't know, man. It's one of those movies that like I didn't really understand what I was watching at the time, but I knew when it was done, and that and when he does what he does to himself at the end of it, I was just like, okay, I need to leave my friends for a few. I'm gonna go walk. You guys can hang out in my house, but I gotta go for a walk down the street really quick. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And be glad you weren't born on the 14th of March. Get it?
oh yeah. Dude, if Pi Day was my birthday, I would probably have a conniption fit.
I also love body horror films. Like just something about body horror that just fascinates me. Just the different ways that the body can be manipulated, and so definitely like Cronenberg is definitely one that I really go to, because you definitely get a lot of body horror in his films.
Yeah. I need to rewatch The Brood. It's been a while, and we were just watching something where a clip came up from it. I really like that film.
The Brood is so dark, and like it's so scary too. Like the scene in the classroom. Oh my lord. The whole movie is terrifying. There's just something about old Cronenberg when he's not trying to be extremely clinical or correct with everything he's doing, and you can tell he's just going more off emotion instead of rationality, and just, I don't know, there's a whole vibe to it that I really dig.
Yeah, 100%. I'm down with that.
All right, so moving on to your new film, Where the Devil Roams, which, congratulations, by the way. I'm so happy to see that this is taking off and people are giving it good word of mouth. So I'm very happy for you guys to see what's going on for you.
Thank you.
Mike. Yeah.
So where did the idea for this movie come from?
The real nugget comes from a dream of Zelda's. She had been dreaming about clowns, and she was trying to figure out a way not to be scared of clowns. So she was trying to reason through the fact that clowns have families, and within that family, there's got to be love. And then she kind of approached us about being like, maybe we should do a movie about clowns, where we're a family of clowns. And we were like, ooh, that sounds kind of cool, but dressing up like clowns every time we shoot is going to be really freaking difficult. And so it eventually got kind of boiled down to a family of carnies, like bad carnies set in the 30s. So we had also been watching a lot of black and white horror movies like Vampire and Frankenstein and Dr. Caligari, and lots of, we were kind of just getting into black and white stuff. And we noticed that the horror community, at least a slice of it, is totally open and still finds black and white movies interesting and cool, and so we thought it would be fun to kind of delve into a celebration of that.
Absolutely, especially Vampire specifically, and Caligari, with that whole just the German expressionism. Now that you mention it, it definitely feels like an influence on this film.
Oh yeah. My favorite film in the world is one of Murnau's films. It's not a horror film per se, but it's pretty dark. Have you guys seen Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans?
Mm-mm.
It's so good. I think it's from 1927 or 29. It's just excellent. It's like about this man who lives out in the country with his sweet wife, and they have a little baby, and she's so nice and innocent, and life is good. But then this kind of bad girl comes into town, and she wears black, and she's kind of wicked, and she sort of lures the man into trying to kill his wife.
Oh, jeez.
And I won't tell you anything beyond there. It's great.
You know, also we were into movies like Night of the Hunter, and we had just watched the movie with O'Neill's Paper Moon, and where we grew up in the Catskills is still real old and creaky. Like the house that I grew up in is like from 1860s. It still has furniture from back then. It was an old boarding house. So wow. We had all this, and my dad had an old car from the 30s that his father had given him. And so there was like, it's kind of the old shoot what you know and shoot what you have. And we were kind of like, we have all this stuff. It's not like we have to set dress. We just have to set up a camera in my parents' house. And it's the 1930s. And so we had that as an advantage. So we didn't have to like the production part of it, at least the interiors were the interiors that I grew up with.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that was fun. It was fun to celebrate all that stuff.
No, absolutely. Like you said, work with what you've got. It's, I don't know, that adds to like the homegrown quality of what you guys offer. Like nothing ever feels like forced. Nothing ever feels out of place. Like everything, like regardless of like if it up front seems to like make sense at the moment, like it doesn't really matter because it just adds to the overall feeling throughout your films. So like I don't know, that's really cool. Like everything you're saying like makes so much sense. Not like when you put it that way.
Well, cool. The other thing that we wanted to have fun with was we kind of believe that the horror community that we're a part of is the modern carny. Like the festivals, and there's a community of entertainers, and they're all slightly off kilter. Like we're all interested in an art form that's a little out of the box and off kilter. Just like back in the day, those traveling carnies. People went to those carnies because they were a bit twisted. There was something dark going on, but something beautiful. And so, we know a lot of characters because we've been in the punk rock world and the acting world, and we just know a lot of characters. And we like to ask those people, hey, you want to be in our movies? And they like to ask us, could we be in your movies? So we're kind of celebrating real people. Like everybody in the movie, most of them are just real characters. And we weren't particularly worried like whether their tattoos were like gonna be period perfect, or we were having fun with the idea of stretching time to celebrate the modern carny too.
No, that makes sense, especially like because there's parts of this film that are black and white. There's some that are more of like a monochromatic color scheme. There's some that are just normalized. And then like there are parts where they start to like morph into each other. So yeah, I like that.
Well, cool. Thanks.
So was there any challenges when you were filming Where the Devil Roams?
We love to shoot in the winter because we love the cold blueness of it, and when blood on snow looks really good. But the winter is always very cold, especially if you're building the sets, which John really got a lot of wood. And and our daughter Lulu is home, and her boyfriend, and it kind of helped build these sets. But that's pretty cold. And then, but beautiful. But then this was a big challenge. We weren't done shooting. We had to go back and shoot some more carnival stuff. But by then the winter was gone, and we have like this invasive knotweed where we live. And this like, it's almost like bamboo, and it grows so fast and it's hardy. So it had overgrown the stage that we had built. So we had to like make sure we had to like cut down all this stuff and make sure we could fake the winter, where suddenly it was in our coats and everything. We were hot. We weren't cold anymore. We were like, sweating like mad.
I would say another challenge that we had that was fun but challenging was we can't we can't afford to hire like 30 or 80 people to show up and be like at a festival and at a carny and, stand there and watch an act and things like that. So we had to film every single piece of everything randomly. And so I think one of the things that was hard was remembering, like, oh, I've shot this and this has to go here. Like, in a way, having a shot schedule in our brains was overwhelming sometimes, but fun, if that makes sense. Like, if you've seen the movie, it might make sense, because all the crowds every single person is shot at a different time and then on a green screen and then put in there. So sometimes that could be difficult.
You really pulled that off then, because I did not pick up on that at all.
Well, great. And that's actually our man Trey Lindsay, who does like all the green screen composites and also does some paintings in the background and things like that. Like, he really composites the world. But we shoot all the elements of the world. Like, if we're if we're driving across the country and we see a neat old brick building, we'll shoot it. And then Trey will composite it next to another brick building that we shot in a different place. And all those things get composited in. And I'd say that was one of the biggest challenges, was keeping that all in our brains to know, like, to shoot a building with the right setup on a tripod and to know, how that's going to look eventually when it's all composited in.
Absolutely. And yeah, that it's just those little details just add to the seamlessness. So that is very impressive. Well done, guys.
Well, cool. It was fun. I love doing it because you kind of travel and you look at beautiful little pieces and know, ooh, this will be a nice piece in a town that we're going to build in later.
The one shot that I did watch and I was like, that was a cool shot that they got, and they just wanted to find some way to use it, was definitely what I thought was the bald eagle. Like, when you guys are just walking down the street to one of the houses, there's just a shot of a bald eagle and it's like by itself. And then it shows like a reaction shot from Zelda. And then as like you continue walking, the eagle takes off. And it was one where I was like, they definitely found this eagle and thought, this is a cool shot. And you got the shot, you got it taking off and everything. And just, that was the one where I was just like, that was a really cool extra piece.
Well, thanks. So that is because that eagle, while I built the sets when we first started shooting, that eagle sat and watched me in the field, and it was so gorgeous. And we realized it would be a great symbolic thing of like guilt, like kind of patriotic guilt, because Seven's story is all about his guilt from the war. And so what better thing than to have like patriotic guilt, and what better way to show that than with the bald eagle. I actually went and bought a what are those big lenses called? A telephoto lens just for that eagle. So it was I'm glad that you liked it.
But it also has real significance too. I mean, narrative wise, because the birds have a point of view that the airplanes did,
Right.
From his trauma, looking up at these planes dropping bombs down on France Germany, wherever he was fighting. And also symbolically, birds are psychopomps. And I think of Zelda's character Eve as a bit of, someone who ushers, I don't want to give it away, ushers some to death. So the birds were fun symbolism.
So it sounds like some beautiful poetry on top of being just like a wonderful omen. So that's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, and that's fun about nature. Like, we love nature. Nature usually just like, if you're paying attention, nature arrives and says, film me. And that's like, animals do that, and those eagles did that, or mist does it. Like, you'll notice like some of the shots we got are like in the fog and in the mist, and it's like that's nature rolling in and be like, you should get your ass in gear and film this right now. Start your car and get your costumes on, because I got a mist for you right now.
You don't want to miss it.
And you don't want to miss it. Yeah.
I like what you did there. And so this movie is definitely the darkest in tone out of the offerings you've made, because like The Deeper You Dig was melancholic because it was so like grief stricken and sad, and Hellbender was, you know, it was like the coming of age movie, so it was like exciting and you're curious, you know, and like it goes to dark places, but like overall it feels like it's within the family because it's about the mother and daughter relationship. But this one just feels so brooding in the atmosphere and so dark. Is there anything specific that drove your narrative to be this way, or was this just the natural evolution for your brand?
Oh, that's such a neat question. You know, a lot of how we shoot is we're discovering a lot as we shoot. We are not usually working with the full screenplay. So I think being that it was winter, there was a natural heaviness in that this family, we wanted, the more that they loved each other, the more dark we could go. And this was a family, this is a family that really does fucking love each other. And so I think just to have that balance there, we had to go the opposite too, which is, you know, heavy and karma. There's a lot of karma involved there because this family does some horrible things. And so to make them both believable and also to challenge the viewer to really love these people through their dark doings, we just naturally went there.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that it's great that you say that. I feel like this is our most loving movie, and it's funny. Like, I think we made a super loving movie, and so it's always awesome when people are like, "Ooh, it's so dark." I'm like, "Oh, that's so funny." To me, it's so loving.
No, it really is though, because like especially like Toby, there's one particular part where I won't give it away because it's kind of a big deal, but like I'll just say there's the point where like the family's tone kind of changes for the audience, and you definitely like brought a tear to my eye at that point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you're definitely right, and I feel like, you know, that's the harmony of things. Like, it's full of love, and like you're right, like this family would do anything for each other. They care about each other so much, but because of that and because of the scenario they're in and the everything surrounding them, like it goes to some dark places, but it's full of that love inside it. So it's, I don't know, it's like a beautiful cookie or something.
That's I mean, I feel like we want to talk about like real life. Like right now, it feels like the world is kind of brutal, but within all that brutality, we're all human and we're all looking for love and we're finding love and we're sharing love. And I think I hope that that's kind of what this movie is about, is in spite of just basically some hellish shit going on, there's plenty of room to love each other. So it was fun.
I love that. Oh, you want to take this next one, Anthony?
Yes. All right. So tell us about the makeup and special effects that we see here. Like, who designed them, and like which ones were your favorites to film?
Well, we've got our great guy Trey Lindsay, who comes along to do some really great practical effects. But part of that also is there's someone that I think we met through Facebook, the guy James Bell, and also Melissa Barrickman. They make really great prosthetics. And like some of the prosthetics that this guy James Bell had made for Hellbender, like some heads, some arms, some feet, we just had them and we recycled them, you know. And it's amazing how many times you can recycle a prosthetic. Even if you've cut it up, you just use those pieces. You know, we were very creative with recycling our practical effects. But Trey comes along and he does some really great stuff with blood spurting, with the poker through the neck. He does his green screen magic that he, you know, in a condom filled with blood. And then sometimes John and I and Zelda will do makeup and a lot of the prosthetics, you know, applications as well.
Yeah, my favorite is what Trey did with the poker through the neck. I love that one. It's super awesome. And
it's a beautiful shot.
Oh, it's so cool. And then Zelda's character takes a picture of it, so you get to see it like twice, so you can really look at it.
And the very end, which we're not going to give away.
Oh yeah, that was
Trey's
fun.
brilliance.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was definitely something.
We had gotten into you talked about body horror before. From being on the festival circuit, we'd seen a lot of body horror in other movies, and we'd grown really to love it and to want to do it too, because it's like a real art form, to do. And we had seen movies, like some of the movies that we'd seen was like Golden Glove, The Sadness, and Megalomaniac, and it was like, oh, you know what? Let's do some non-cutaway violence, but not for like no reason. Like Toby was saying before, you had to balance it with love or payback, so that there was a reason for it and it had weight.
No, that is perfect. And like, especially like the shot that you have with like the poker through the throat, like when Zelda takes the picture, like I just love the actor that you have there, like his expression. I don't know, it really sells that gag. It sells it so hard.
The Norwegian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. His name's Harold. We met him a long time ago at a festival with another movie, and we had talked a lot on the internet, and finally we got to work with him, and he was wonderful. He was great.
Yeah.
He had a very Udo Kier vibe to him, where like you couldn't tell really like if he was a threat or if he was like almost like just annoying because he was trying to be so hospitable. Like it was almost hard to tell like what he was planning. And then, you kind of don't give him enough time to like really show anything. You're just like, no, we're going to deal with this. I really liked him.
That is such a great review of his character. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So as the movie plays on, I loved hearing the Hellbender music come through, because I know that you guys are the band that plays it. And I love the Hellbender logo too, where you have the E's as sixes and all that. Like that is super smart.
Oh, thanks.
And so as the music kept playing, I was wondering, like, do you guys have any records or albums available? Like, is it an active project? Do you have anything online?
Yes, we do. We're on Spotify, YouTube, all the Bandcamp, all that stuff. And yeah, it's Hellbender with all the E's as sixes. And and actually there's side A of this movie is up already, and I'm working on finishing up side B. I've just been so busy that I haven't put side B out. But we love being a band together. It's really fun because everybody has, we're always turning each other on with, hey, listen to this band, listen to that band. There's a lot of styles that each of us like. So it's fun to be a band as a family.
Absolutely.
It's just so cool how many different aspects you're all involved in. Like it's like mind blowing, honestly.
It's cool. It's also convenient, to be honest, because, if you know how to wear all these hats, then you're sitting down eating a hamburger at your table, and then the right clouds are passing by outside your window. You're lucky because you can just get up,
set up and go,
put on the clothes, grab the camera, and here we go. So it's very convenient. It's also it is really fun to make art with the people you love, because while you're doing it, you learn so much about each other, and it's good to do something together, But and then you have the after effects, afterglow, I should more call it, when you get to go to festivals and travel with each other. And then there's this whole other, side of it that I absolutely love.
And we've been very lucky, like you mentioned the music, and we're super kind to compliment it, but we've been very lucky that people are allowing us to do our music in the films. And now kind of the people that know us have come to expect, like they know that we're going to that there's a video quality to it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and we've been given permission to do that. So we're super thankful about that. And we hope it continues because it is really fun.
Yeah, because it's like how music videos are like basically designed to like sell, be a visual point to sell the album. It's almost like your movies are also a way to like sell the album of what you're doing. Because I knew as soon as I heard, I can't tell if it's the guitar or the bass. I think it's the guitar, but just it has that crunchy like tone to it that just as soon as it comes in, you're just like, oh yeah, like here we go. Like I was ready for it.
Yes, they both have a huge crunch. We love crunch.
Yes. It's just something it's definitely something that's like fresh and different, like which is definitely what is needed, especially with the within the horror film community. That's definitely something that I appreciate myself, is just having that. You guys just bring something just so different and so fresh, and it's just like there's so much potential I can see in the future.
Oh,
Well, thanks, Anthony.
thank you.
That's that you don't. You have no idea how much wind that is at our back, and we really appreciate that.
All right, so we'll move on. We'll keep going because I know you guys, have things you got to do later on. But I just got a few questions about some specifics within this movie. So the first one was, and you kind of hinted at it earlier, but what was the significance behind John's name being 7? And why was there the choice to make Zelda ultimately a mute who only communicates through song?
Great questions.
I'll speak to Eve and let you cover 7. Eve, we didn't at the beginning. We didn't know we wanted her to be mute, and we were really kind of struggling to figure out what she was about. And then as we started to understand the violence, especially Maggie's violence, we realized, well, there were two things. First of all, we had to have a reason why she didn't just leave her family. So at first we thought, well, maybe she just really needs them, And I think through the movie, you really see her find her agency, if not her voice. And then the other thing is it allows her to kind of make, like, it's almost like the stage is the place where she can be herself, where she's not, her parents' violence, the violence she's grown up around. You could feasibly say, well, that's why she doesn't speak. She's seen so much violence, and of course, she's learned how to make art out of it through her photographs. But for me, when Eve is on stage, that's when she can fully express herself, and she's really in control, and she's in charge.
The seven character, we wanted him to be the ethereal one, the more godly one, because we wanted Maggie to kind of run the show in the human world. We wanted her to be brutal, her feet in the dirt. 7 is like the ethereal one. He can't handle human things. He went to the war and he came home and he just can't handle it. It was too heavy of a human experience. Like, he had to do something in order to save a couple people. He had to sacrifice somebody, and it was a boy. And it's like, just like God, asked for the sacrifice of Abraham's son. It's like there's something that we wanted him to be kind of like the godly one. That's why he likes to read books. That's why he has so much knowledge. But ultimately, this is a movie about humans, not the godly ones. And that's why Maggie runs the show. And that's why it's called Where the Devil Roams, because the devil is a human number. It's like 666. It's like, and the 6 is the human number. This is a movie about humans. And it's about living not in heaven. It's not necessarily living in hell. It's living in between the two. And 7 can't really live there, and that's why he's got the perfect number.
I absolutely love that, especially because like the people you run into along the way, like you said, there's some who like seem like they're almost like actual victims because like they're kind of just in the way at the wrong time. But then you have a few people who are just unnecessarily nasty. Like, you just want to borrow a garden hose and he's very insistent, like, I don't have time for this shit. So I think that's a beautiful way that you put it.
Oh, well, great. Yeah, he was a fun character to play. Like, so fun. And I fell in love with Maggie. Like, it was so funny. Like, Toby talks about it. Like, I miss Maggie. I loved it when Toby put on her Maggie uniform. We went out and we were out in the snow together waiting on clouds. I was hanging out with Maggie and she was great. You know, she walked like a football player and she fucking was so cool.
I miss her every day. I do.
Yeah, Maggie took no shit. She was definitely like the MVP because it was like all three of you served your own strong purposes. So it's just so cool how it works together.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
From the family's perspective, what was the performance act all about?
Oh, that's really, you're the first person to actually ask that.
Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, me and Toby probably have different answers. What's your answer? I know what mine is.
The performance, you know, they need basically a cover because Maggie has this compulsion to kill, so they got to move around a lot. And the carnival's a good way to do that. And I think, but I also, again, back to what I said before, I think Maggie really understands that it's a way that her daughter, I think Maggie's a real like stage mother. You know, she loves that her daughter has this beautiful voice and is happy when she's on stage. But technically, they really just need to move a lot because she's killing a lot.
Yeah, and for me, it's also, all of our movies are documentaries about where we are in life. And this is also a documentary on where we are in life. And we are performers. And, you know, we wonder, like, are we any good at all? And, you know, it's like, it's a good question to ask yourself, you know? And there's even the idea of, is Zelda really like the one here? Do you know what I mean? Or are Toby and I, are we good performers? Like, there's all these artistic questions that are built into this movie because we love talking about those things. And lastly, it's a reflection of us as filmmakers in the horror circuit, in, you know, as I said before, the modern carny. And it's like, we do want to have a fun act. We do want to entertain people. And we're talking a little bit about the whole idea that in the horror genre, a lot of the time, violence rises to the top. And I don't know where we fit in with that. So it's not a comment about whether that's good or bad. It's a little bit of a comment, though, that, like, if you look at all the top movies, they're generally the most violent.
It's also in the context of this film, it's a neat device to serve them some karma. Because, you know, Maggie dreams of their making it to the Buffalo Horror Show, you know, mostly for like her daughter, but they receive fame through pain, and they deserve it. Like, so their pain becomes their currency, and their fame relies on their pain. And that's kind of good karma, which is important that these characters, we want people to be challenged to love them, but we also want them to know, like, oh, no, these characters deserve a good deal of pain.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I love how you both just have like different approaches to it, but it all met at the same place. Your synergy is unmatched. I love it.
Oh, that's so nice. And then the thing is you're missing the third and fourth parts. I mean, it definitely Zelda, because she's always sitting there and she has, you know, she's got this whole other spoon that she mixes the soup with, and it's always so cool to hear what her, you know, input is. So it is really fun. Plus she's of another generation. And then when Lulu's around, there's a whole nother bit of chaos that gets introduced. So when the four are running together, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm hoping when we do get a physical release of this, that there will be some commentaries so we can get more of their insights on it.
Oh, yeah.
You think, and you will.
Oh, that's great.
It's great to know.
We put together a behind the scenes on Where the Devil Roams came together.
Yes.
Nice.
It's really fun to do. Like, I had never done anything like that, and when they asked us for the Blu-ray, they were like, "Could you do some extras?" We started looking through like our phone footage and just our stuff, and it was like hilarious. So it's kind of like it's a very non-shiny behind the scenes, but very honest behind the scenes.
That's cool. And it's like, it sounds like it's set up in a way too where it is really celebrating you guys and just the achievements you made it through so far. So that's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've only got a couple more for you. So at this point, we'll look more towards the future. So each film you've made so far has had its own unique style, and they feel like they don't belong within any single genre, which I find absolutely fantastic. These three films, they feel like a cohesive trilogy just because the atmosphere and the vibes are so transgressive. So looking towards the future, is there a specific story type, trope, or specific genre you would like to tackle sometime?
Fantastic question. Also, first, I just need to point out that I'm so glad that you see those three movies as a trilogy, because we do too.
Yeah, we love to say that.
Yeah. And we knew that Where the Devil Roams was the final in the trilogy. And we also knew that the future was wide open. So fantastic question. What's your answer, Tobe?
Well, you know what? Our first four films were dramas. And the first one was meant to be actually a genre film, a dark ghost story. We just kind of weren't ready to go there. I think we felt we had to sort of earn our stripes within the horror genre. But I would have to say maybe this is more a subgenre, but I kind of love magical realism, and I would like to make something that is. Like I've been working on something that's just taking me forever to do, but it's like a Western, but with magical realism, like a dark Western with those kind of magical elements, and I really kind of want to succeed in finishing that.
Yeah, for me, it's fun. Like, I'm very into the idea of spiritual horror. There's been some movies that I've watched that have turned me on big time about spiritual horror, because I think that's more terrifying than like getting hacked up or chased by someone with a knife. And so movies like The Harbinger, like even like I like Talk to Me. I even Where the Devil Lurks, or
Where Evil Lurks.
When Evil Lurks, like those are all like examples of things that have totally turned me on, and it's spiritual horror. And that doesn't mean that it has to be heady with no like tangible, violence or terror, but it's what's driving the terror that I'm really interested in. And the three of those, what's driving it is spiritual horror.
No, absolutely. And like, there's just something about it where like you really walk away from it like almost a different person. Like we just reviewed When Evil Lurks together a couple weeks ago, and I still just think about that scene of when the mother's walking down the street with her son. Like that image just pops in my head at random, almost unwanted sometimes. But like, yeah, it's something that just like it hits a different part of your subconscious brain, and it like attacks your like almost like your reptile brain or something. And so I think that's a really cool direction to attack.
Yeah, I do too. And people are attacking it, and that means that it's relevant. Well, at least it's relevant to me. And
I feel like it makes it more timeless. Like it's more timeless than, like a mass killer kind of thing. Like Thanksgiving worked really well for Eli Roth this year, but like, like the mass killer concept, like there are 40 of those that come out every year, and 30 of them you don't even hear about. But when there's something like heady a little bit, or like just more like it connects like on a more soulful level, like those are the ones that you hear people really talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I love, like, don't get me wrong, I love like just one-dimensional horror movies. I love those too.
Oh yeah, they need to exist. You need the balance.
They're really fun. But what I want to do is I love those ones that like you just said, that kind of I'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking about them. Like the last scene in Talk to Me bothers me because it makes me ask whether that's possible. And I hate the idea that it might be.
And a film that I love and think about all the time is Saint Maud, which is really horror. I mean, literally. And I find what is so horrific about that is that you kind of don't, it's almost like you don't know who's speaking to her. Is it God? Is it the devil? I mean, it's so her disintegration is just beautiful. I fucking love that film.
Yeah, a good example of what's terrifying about spiritual horror is, do you know how the kid that bangs his head again? You saw Talk to Me, right?
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know the kid that like smashes his head and then goes into like a coma, and then she finds, like, she realizes that he's kind of in hell, and she goes to try to get him out of hell. I love that. First of all, she doesn't succeed, and so I still ask myself, like, wait, is he still there? Like, is he still there because she didn't succeed? Like, was there a trade-off? Is that stuff is great because it continues to bother me. Where that used to happen to me, like when I saw Phantasm, the tall man used to bother me, but the tall man doesn't bother me anymore. Do you know what I mean? Things like that bother me. Is that kid still there?
Mm. And Toby, along with your magical realism, I am definitely excited and curious to see what exactly you've got cooking up, because that sounds very interesting as well.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
witchy horrors definitely are very intriguing.
Yeah, I love. Well, then you know what? You might like what we've got on the cooker.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, can you talk a little bit about what's next? Anything you can tease us about?
Yeah, we're gonna do, well, John. This is next one. John and Zelda are gonna be father and daughter, and the daughter has a terminal disease, and they go to the deep woods to a witch doctor to see what they can do about that.
The witch doctor promises she can
terms.
cure it, and you know that means that there's a trade-off.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's really fun because, not to make it heavy, but Toby and I have been through cancer, so it's a fun thing for us finally to be able to talk about and to kind of put it on a parallel path with, like, Western medicine and witchery.
Look it right in the fucking eye, and and make art out of it.
Yes, 100%.
Oh, so this sounds like it's going to be a rather like intense experience.
But filled with love. I think it is going to be intense, but there's going to be a ton of joy on this one. It's not going to be just like, we don't want to make a big fucking downer movie about cancer. In fact,
No.
just the opposite, like something that's going to be an exhilarating, crazy ass fucking trip.
Yeah, and it's really like
going through cancer is a fucking crazy ass trip, you know?
No, absolutely. And like, it's really that kind of just like the negativity and just how heavy that is in someone's life. Like, I could see how that would really make the love that you guys put into this next one, like, just really stand out even more. Like, I see some tearjerkers coming. I can already feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you should see the big, like, witch's tit that John has built out of.
Oh my God, yeah.
We call it the witch's tit. It looks like a big, like, nipple that he has built out of fucking stones. It's like 15 feet high, and he's already built it.
And we can't tell you why it's there, but it's pretty
But it's
fucking.
there.
There's a great reason for it, and it's a real zinger.
Well, that is extremely exciting.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, we're excited.
Well, Anthony, do you got anything more? Because we've hit about the hour mark, so.
Yeah, but I think I'm pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you, Toby and John, for your time here tonight. It's been absolutely lovely.
Yes.
So I guess as we sign off, just let everybody know where they can follow you online.
Well, thanks, Mike, Anthony, Cody. This has been a blast. Our website is wonderwheelproductions.com, where you can see trailers and information about all of our films. And then social, Twitter is adams.family.films. And, did I say, no, Instagram, that's Instagram. Is adams.family.films. Twitter is adams_films. And the Hellbender is on, the band.
And we love talking to people. So if you ever want to contact us, we're contactable. And you guys, this was an inspiring night for me. Thank you for your great thoughts and conversation today.
Oh,
Love your
thank you guys very much
I'm
for
glad
just.
you feel that way.
Yeah, no, like this is mutual as hell.
Yeah, we were pretty excited about this. Like, we're like, yeah, let's make this happen, and then it's happening, and it's like, oh yes.
Yeah, like back when this film just got announced that it was like existing and coming out in the circuits, we were both just like, oh yeah, we are gonna have to watch this as soon as we can. We're going to preach this because I mean, Hellbender made both of our top 10 lists last year.
Awesome.
So we were so excited for this. So the fact that it finally came out, and the fact that you guys actually responded and were like, yeah, like we can sit down and chat with you. Like we both kind of squealed when we talked about it.
So how about you guys? What are you making?
Oof, Anthony, you want to go first?
So so pretty much, what we work on, me and Mike both work on it, is we do horror reviews. So that's kind of, so we have a website, gruesomegazette.com, where you can find all of our reviews. We have a Facebook. We've been working pretty much on this since 2019. And it's pretty much, it's been growing ever since. Doing stuff like this, like being able to do interviews now.
And we met for the first time only this year, like earlier this year. Like we've been working together for like 3.5 solid years. And then earlier this year, we met together to go to a convention at the Monroeville Mall. And that was our first time meeting in person. So
yes,
we're just hitting new like levels.
That's awesome. By the way, you guys have the best like title. Gruesome Gazette's awesome. And I love your artwork and I love your pages. I think it's really well done.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so you guys interact with like our posts and all that. Like every single time, it makes my heart melt.
Yes.
It's great. It's great. I love what you do. I love it.
Yeah,
Anthony, do you got any like individual things you're working on at the moment?
As far as individual things, I mean, I do every now and then I do music reviews. I also make that a part of Gruesome Gazette because I just felt like it makes it easier just have everything in one spot. So like nothing I'm really working on at the moment, but definitely future things that may happen.
And I have ADHD, so I'm kind of in the middle of a bunch of crap that I will finish. I just don't have a timeline, but I have a debut novel that is on the very, very final draft before I try to submit it out. That's called Change the Channel. It's like a sci-fi kind of like trippy kind of story. I started writing a second one, which is kind of my like depression story. So that one's like still just like in its infancy, but I'm a few chapters in. Then on top of that, I'm also working on music. I scream in a metal project. I do hip hop, which is a strange combo because they're not together. And I'm also finishing my script because I'm trying to finish a short film to try and get into some festivals, hopefully soon. My money has been, tied up with life itself, so I haven't really fully dedicated to that. But the idea is there, the image is there. I've assembled the people to be the team for the most part. So I'm really excited for next year because this year kind of wasn't a good year. So next year is definitely going to be better. So I don't know, I've got a lot of things happening, but I don't know when any of it's going to actually be ready for the world to consume.
Awesome.
Well, good luck with your book, and that's so exciting.
Yeah, lots of things on the cooker. That's my style too. I got a lot of soups going.
Yeah, and the longer they simmer, the more flavor they get. So,
Exactly.
We'll
and you
there.
never know when you're ready. You take a bite and you're like, it's ready. Oh my God, something's ready. You put it out and it's great, and then you put another fucking soup right on the same cooker that you just took one off. So that's great.
And just a little shameless plug here, but if you guys ever need like someone to bounce an idea off of for an opinion, I only live like an hour away from you. If you even just want me to like pop out and like look at something or give you a hand with if you need filming or an extra or something to stand in, like by all means, guys, hit my line. I'm very happy to help, and I would love to see how your craft works in person and learn from you because there's a lot to learn from you.
Well, that is a super generous offer that we will take you up on because we know where you live and it is pretty close. And it's more like we'll come up there because you have some great shit up there.
That sounds threatening and exciting. So I'm down. Well, excellent. Thank you guys once again for all your time. We'll see you guys in the future. And again, congrats with this release. Congrats with all of the positive press you're getting. And when this physical release does come out, we are going to continue to sing the praises.
Yes.
Well, guys, you have a great night.
You too.
Yes,
Take it
thank
easy,
you.
guys.
Peace.